Chad Hasty Show News Talk, KFYO. The first day of early voting. You can get all the details for Lubbock County polling locations, everything else at KFYO.com. Joining me on the phones right now, Republican strategist Matt Mackowiak. Matt, good morning. How are you?
I'm doing great, Chad. Good morning.
Thanks for joining us. It's the first day of early voting. You have the president going to be in Houston this evening. People who started lining up yesterday, they're pumped up and excited. What do you think? What are your expectations for this rally, and what do you think it shows that you had people starting to show up yesterday, and the Trump White House saying, well, we've had over 100,000 people request tickets?
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to imagine almost anyone else in politics drawing that kind of crowd. Not even Beto O'Rourke, I'm sure, could build a crowd that big. It shows the intensity.
Not without Willie, at least.
Yeah, I mean, it shows the level of intensity that you're seeing for the president. Obviously, there are a lot of races that are important. There are areas where Trump will be more helpful than others. I think there are some questions about what his coming to Houston will do to the John Culberson congressional race against Leslie Fletcher. But this is obviously a very positive thing for Cruz. It's a reminder that Cruz and Trump have worked very closely together since Trump's been in the White House. It's going to finally publicly bury whatever hatchet some people may think exists. And it's going to really, I think, give a new burst of momentum to Cruz in Texas. And so you're going to see this event get enormous attention, nationally and really throughout the state. So it's going to be quite a sight to see.
Talk about the Culberson race there, because I saw a news report this morning that he's actually going to skip tonight's rally, correct?
He is. I mean, he's in a suburban district, and so it's probably net unhelpful to him to be there and get called out, and it creates a moment that his opponents could use in a late television ad. That's just not something he needs right now. He's in a very, very close race, and so they've got their campaign plan. They're executing it, but I don't think kind of sort of hugging Trump is what they want to do at this time, given just 15 days left.
Yeah, I know that you've been you've been focused on the Dallas area when we talked about this being the real battleground and Republicans who are in trouble. Talk about that a little bit. What are your? I know we're still a couple of weeks from Election Day, but as of right now, how big of a test do some of these Republicans face in the Dallas area?
Yeah, it's pretty significant. I mean, there's 5 or 6 really key state house races in Dallas. You've got 2 in the Metroplex for state Senate with Connie Burton and Don Huffines. You've got a number of county level races, including the DA race in Dallas. It's very competitive. And of course, you have the Pete Sessions Colin Allred congressional campaign. And so Dallas is basically political ground zero for the next 15 days. There's a chance the Democrats may perform well there, but perform poorly pretty much everywhere in Texas. And even if they did that, that would help. They could pick up a congressional seat, maybe pick up a state Senate seat, pick up some county races, pick up 4 or 5 state house seats potentially. So I know that there's tremendous focus on the Republican side, from the county party to the statewide, including the governor, lieutenant governor, on the Dallas area. It's really ground zero for the next 15 days. And if the Democrats have a really good performance there, it's going to be consequential in terms of the ultimate makeup of the legislature and the congressional delegation.
Visiting with Matt Mackowiak, Republican strategist, also appears on the show every Monday here on KFYO. Let me ask you about the Beto O'Rourke-Ted Cruz race. As long as Republicans turn out to vote, it looks like Cruz is going to win this thing. Have you seen any sort of a movement among, either writers or even the Beto campaign where they've kind of gone, okay, this thing, we don't want to say it's over, but it's over? Have you seen any of that? Are they still out there pressing hard to try and get people out to vote?
Well, I definitely think that they are going to try to overperform. He doesn't want to lose by a large margin and become a laughing stock and have wasted $60 million of precious resources that could have gone to other races and other places. I do think that, he wants to help down ballot. O'Rourke does. He wants to help, narrow the Republican majority in the Texas House, maybe narrow the majority in the Senate, certainly affect the congressional delegation. So, they're certainly running the tape, and they want to prove everyone wrong. They want to prove they have a turnout mechanism. They want to prove that they have significant intensity. They want to prove they can overperform Hispanics and African Americans. I do think the one thing to point out, Chad, that shows, I think that they realize they're in a tough spot, is Beto went negative. The debate last Tuesday in San Antonio, I think after the debate, he said he was not going to go negative. Less than 24 hours later, they released a negative television ad, which I'm sure was already in the can at that point. So I don't really understand why he said that. So look, you don't go negative at the end if you're in a strong position. You go negative at the end if you're losing, and that's the position he's in right now. I do think the margin has moved in Cruz's direction in a meaningful way. I now think the sort of most likely range is a 7 to 9 point win for Cruz. But I do know that there are, senior people on the Cruz team that believe a double-digit win is very possible. It's all going to, come down to turnout, as we often say. If Republicans are motivated, if they do turn out, particularly in suburban areas, there's a good chance for Cruz to have a pretty significant win.
Yeah. Turn our attention nationally real quick. President, I believe there was a poll that came out yesterday, showed his approval rating at about 47%, which is actually higher than what Barack Obama's was back when the Tea Party took over. Is that going to have much of an impact, you think, on the midterms? And where do you think we are right now at this point with early voting starting in Texas? Where are we right now as far as the midterms go?
Yeah, it's not just that he's above where Obama was in the first midterm in that poll. It's the highest he's been ever in the NBC News Wall Street Journal poll. And now that was among registered voters, and I very much prefer polling of likely voters as we get close to elections. I'm more interested in likely voters than I am registered voters. But look, I mean, all of this is to the good for the Republicans. The fact that Trump is trending in the right way, the fact the economy remains strong. I think this immigration caravan story is going to redound to Republicans' benefit. Nobody, very few people across the country can credibly claim that these are people that should be able to come into the country illegally. With those kind of numbers, I think that plays into a lot of the immigration messaging the president's been using for months already. So, in terms of the overall map, I think I'd still narrowly rather be the Democrats than the Republicans, but the picture keeps getting better in terms of the seats that are coming off the board, in terms of where the Democrats are pulling money out. And so, look, my general takeaway is there's about 27 swing seats where if you take away all the seats that are basically done, there's 27 swing seats. Democrats need to win 13 of them to take the House back. It's a little less than half. That's very doable. But I still think it's, 55-45 the Dems take the House back. But it's going to be very dependent on the campaigns these candidates run, how well they're executing their strategy, how efficiently they're spending their money. It's going to be very, very, very close, and it's going to depend a lot on local dynamics in a lot of these districts.
Yeah. Matt, tell folks how they can sign up for your morning newsletter, and then also tell us about your latest podcast.
Yeah, we do a morning news tip sheet for Texas politics, take all the top news around the state, deliver it to your inbox every weekday morning. It's called Must Read Texas. You can go to mustreadtexas.com, sign up for a free 1-week trial. The podcast is called Mac on Politics. It's in the iTunes Store, Google Play, Stitcher, and on the web at maconpoliticspodcast.com. Most recent episode was a really interesting conversation with United States Senator Ben Sasse, Republican of Nebraska. So check that out.
He's been in the news quite a bit.
He has.
Yeah.
Yep.
All right. Great, Matt. Appreciate it, and we'll talk to you next week.
Take care.
Have a good one. That's Matt Mackowiak, Republican strategist. Chad Hasty Show, KFYO.